Hello, I'm Tim Clemmer, and we're going to talk about API certification today, why you need it. And the best way to do this is we're going to give you a live example and just show you how API certification for a bank brought order out of chaos. To start with, let's just briefly review what API certification is all about, if we're going to say why you need it. First of all, it is a thorough, comprehensive review of your entire tech stack from the top of the stack with security all the way down to the bottom of the stack with your data for data structures, data correctness, data accuracy, um, all of it. We want to ensure that your OAuth has the proper scopes, the proper refresh timeouts, everything is tested. And at the end, you can rest assured that this graded certification is not just a rubber stamp. You have thoroughly gone over and gone through all of the different endpoints you have, all of the different nuances that exist with getting data via data ranges, everything. And you will get a report at the end showing you everything that we found and grading you on it. We do this so that you know you can wave this certification in the air when you go up to a new fintech partner and say, we are certified, we are compatible, step right in and let's hook up and integrate. Now, let's go see why you need it. In the previous talk, I mentioned that building APIs is complicated. And I said it's very complicated. So I'm going to show you why that is and how things can get muddy and why API certification then becomes a necessary step. So here's a simplified view of typical complex infrastructure for a bank. They grew organically and through some mergers and acquisitions. And as a result, have two credit card backends, a banking and a wealth management. In real life, we had one of our clients had actually 22 credit card backends. In our example today, credit card number one, it calls its credit cards credit card, no surprise there, and it has a transaction type, one of many, that it calls purchase. Credit card backend number two calls its accounts lines of credit, and it doesn't call it purchase, it calls them buys. The banking backend has a account type, a checking plus account that actually gets in the system as a line of credit. And in this case, we have a regular check going against it, check number 1691. Now you start to look at it and you go, oh boy, what's the answer here? And actually, the last thing I want to do is something like this. I don't want each backend supporting a different API standard or even the same API standard. I don't want four different APIs. It's unmanageable, it's unsupportable, it's too expensive, it's crazy, and if I recommended that, I'd lose my job. Instead, what is the typical scenario is the bank creates an intermediate interim golden copy database, and they normalize the data as it flows into this database. So it's greatly simplified and consolidated. Instead of having hundreds or thousands of transaction types, they narrow it down to 10 or 20 transaction types. There's a little loss of data, but if done right, it works and it's not a problem. In our case, and this actually was live, this is a real start that we had with one of our partners. They decided rather than go with hundreds of different transaction types and not even bother with trying to consolidate them into an intelligible mix, they're just going to have two transaction types, debit or credit. And so we started off and they created their normalized database. It fed through to the microservices, out to the API, and out to us. And we went through the testing, and in this particular scenario, which was real, those 3 accounts only produced one account type, credit card. All 3 of them translated into credit card. And all 3 different transaction types converted into a debit. So all we ever saw during testing was credit card, debit. So the bank gave us, a handful of debit transactions, passed the test, then a handful of credit transactions, passed the test. And they said, great, certify us. And we're like, whoa, whoa, not so fast, my friend. We have no visibility into what we tested. I don't know if I tested just a single account type and a single transaction type, or there were 3 different account types or 3 different transaction types. I have no traceability back to the back end. I can't tell which back end produced this data. I can't tell what type of accounts I'm dealing with or any of that. And they said, Tim, don't worry. Our normalization golden copy database is handling it all. We know this technology. We've been down this road before. It works perfectly. So we were at a standstill. And the answer was, since we both felt we were right, let's go live with 100 accounts, 100 clients and 200 to 300 accounts, and let's see what happens. And we didn't get 24 hours into this test, and we had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of errors. We immediately stopped, and the bank went back, and we reviewed the results with them, and they realized what had happened, that this normalization, they had lost all sorts of granularity in their data, all sorts of traceability and understanding where this data was coming from. And there was a great loss of data as well. I mean, the fact that I lost check number in this was a big deal. So they went back to the drawing board. They made their data a little more granular. They thanked us, and we proved to them how valuable or invaluable API certification testing was for them. There you have it. So I hope this was informative, just a small little look into the world of certification. So I hope you found it informative, and thank you for listening.